very excited in this episode to introduce you to Laurie Herbers. Laurie is an empowerment coach and author. Her most recent book is titled Second Chances: How I Turned Hate into Love and Found My Purpose. Hating life was her home and daily struggle until the day she decided to change her thoughts and beliefs and pursue love with a fervor that superseded everything else. Now her mission is to guide over 1 million individuals into the fullness of love so that they can pursue their purpose with passion and love. She is passionate about others never having to go another day feeling worthless, unwanted, unloved, or feeling guilt, shame, pain, or judgment. So welcome, Laurie. This is sure to be an interesting discussion. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. So let me start by inviting and asking you to share more about your personal journey, how you got here, and then, what made you decide to take all that and become a coach and start a business?
Okay. So I grew up basically being told I was stupid and worthless. I was the youngest of 4.
Oh, wow.
And so my dad only ever wanted 2 kids, and the first 2 happened to be girls. So he didn't get a boy. And then there's like a gap. Yeah, there's a gap between the second daughter, and then they had a boy. And so then they were supposed to be done. He was happy he had a boy, and I'm only 14 months younger than my brother.
Oh, okay.
So I was not only an oops, but I was an unwanted on his side. Oops.
Oh my. Okay.
So that basically was my foundation. I grew up believing I was stupid, and all I wanted was him to love me. That's all I wanted. So I tried to be perfect, and of course that didn't work. And I even had straight A's. I can remember I went to a Catholic school, so it was like 1st through 8th grade. And I'm not sure where within that point I finally was like, if I'm so dumb and I'm getting A's, then why do I even bother trying? So then I just kind of stopped trying. So I'm like, this is kind of pointless. And so that just kind of continued on. And so by my senior year, awesome high school counselor told me I wasn't smart enough to go to college on top of it. And so, I already had this mindset that I'm stupid. So it didn't even faze me. So I'm like, okay, what do I do then? What am I supposed to do? And so, I spent a lot of my life just kind of wandering, feeling like I'm not going to amount to anything anyway. So, I just take a job. Didn't have to be, something I even wanted. I just, had to eat and have a roof over my head. And
right.
Yeah, so that was kind of my background a little bit. And then I had a daughter out of wedlock. So growing up Catholic, that was just another big, black mark on my record.
Sure. Right.
Yeah. So, so that was basically what I was carrying around. It's really heavy, and which is part of the reason why my goal in life is to keep people from living like that, because it was so heavy for so long. I had so much anger within me because we're meant to be loved, and we actually are loved, but I just didn't realize it at the time. So then I decided one day that I just had enough. I was tired of feeling like this was all there is. My dad passed away.
Okay, I was gonna say, did something trigger that? I mean, that's a huge shift.
Yeah, my dad passed away suddenly in 2009. And although we didn't have a very good relationship, he was just starting to talk to me, because normally I would call home and he would just hand it to my mom. He wouldn't even really say anything. And it got to the point where he would actually stay on the phone for 5-10 minutes and how is it going? And how's the granddaughter? And and we had just started to talk, and he passed away suddenly. And I remember a lot of people were like, well, you didn't even really get along with him. He's mean to you. Why do you even care? Well, because the only thing I ever wanted in my entire life was to hear him tell me he loved me, and now he's gone. So he'll never be able to say it to me. And so that was just, I don't know. It broke me in so many different ways. It's hard to even explain. And I was going to school at the time to become a teacher. So my background is education. And it was January. And I remember I flew home because my mom and dad met in high school. So I was worried about her. Okay. Yeah. Right. So my biggest concern was, oh my gosh, I got to get to her. How is she going to handle this? And I remember her kind of yelling at me when I got home, because I didn't get home until 2 a.m. because it was at the time like a 10-hour drive. And I didn't find out till like 1 p.m. I don't even know what I packed. I just threw stuff in the car, grabbed my daughter and away we went. And I was married at the time. And I had messaged him. I left a message and it was hours. Like I had packed and was on the road for like over 2 hours before he even contacted me back.
Oh my. Okay.
Even acknowledged that I said, oh, my dad just passed away. I gotta go. And then when I got home at 2 a.m, she came to the steps. She's like, why are you here? You're supposed to be in school. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm worried about you. What do you mean? What am I doing? Of course I'm coming home. And she was like, well, you've got to finish school. And I'm like, I will. Don't worry about me.
Right.
So basically I shoved it all in because that was January and I had to get through the semester. And so it was June. And I remember it plain as day. It was storming out. And at that point I was so angry because the week I went to, home was also the week my husband was like, ooh, she's gone. I can take everything and go. I'm out.
Holy cow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, he only called me one time that whole time I was home. And that was to see, are we going to do our taxes together? My mom was irate. I'm like, seriously, that's why you call me? But anyway, so it's June and I'm about to go home for summer because normally I only go home once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting to freak out about it because deep down I knew that I was going to have to deal with his death. I was going to have to figure out what I was going to do with all of this pain and all of it. And so, I just remember storming out really bad. And at that point, I really didn't care. I just went outside and I was yelling at God. I was blaming him for everything. I felt like, what did I do? Why did you bring me here if this was going to be my life? If I was going to be this upset and this, and this unloved and this unwanted. And I remember just yelling and it was literally like overhead, like lightning could have struck me down if you really wanted to. That's how bad it was. And my neighbors, and I don't know if anyone saw me because my neighbors would have been like, what the heck is she doing out there? Because I literally was yelling into the sky, like, why do you hate me so much? I don't know what I did wrong. What did I do? And I instantly heard God tell me, he's like, why do you hate you so much? And I just stopped, like I was just froze. And I was like, that's true. I do. It was true. I hated myself and I had to step back and go, why? Why do I? And that's what kind of kicked off my journey of why do I? What is going on with me? Why is this? Why is this? Can I change it? And that's when I really realized that we have second chances all the time. I didn't have to keep living that way. And so that really started my journey into digging into all of the memories and all of the pain. And it was not easy. At all.
No, on many levels I can relate with you. It's not easy, but
but
doable.
So worth it. Yeah, so worth it
yeah.
once you get through it. So that is kind of how it all started back then. And it was not like a simple 1 year in and everything's amazing. Mm-hmm. You go through like, valleys and hills and valleys. Like there'd be times where I'm like, oh, I'm so great. It's doing awesome. But then one little thing would happen, basically like knock you down again. And so, it was like, I think it was like 2015. Like I had a best friend for a decade who all of a sudden just decided we weren't friends anymore, but she didn't tell me. She was telling people at church, like the youth at church are like, why aren't you friends anymore? And I'm like, we're not. I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. Yeah. And so at that point, like I thought I was doing awesome until that moment. And then it just kind of, took me down again, which is when I really realized, like, you know what, there's got to be a point where stuff like this can't knock me down. And that's when I really dug in and went on a full-on search for love, because I'm like, there's got to be something more than this. I must be missing something still for that to knock me down. Like it wasn't just like, oh, well, no, I was like I shut myself in my room. I just got out, I'd go to work, come home, back to my room. I would spend entire days in my room.
Sure.
Yeah. So then I started that, which led me actually, which is so funny. It was actually my birthday. And I remember, how you just kind of wake up and you're in bed and I didn't want to do anything. And I'm just scrolling through Facebook and I came across some video about, who says you're not worthy? Because we're all worthy. And those words just was like a light bulb. And I'm like, yeah, wait a minute. I am worthy. Why am I acting like I'm not?
So something just reached through your phone and just grabbed your heart and just spoke to you. That's I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, and that then really catapulted me forward. And that was another funny thing, because I think once we start stepping through these doorways, not
Uh-huh.
invisible doorways, but,
Right.
and I remember, I started another course kind of about how to live an authentic life. And as I'm going through that, I'm like, man, I wonder how you get to be a coach. And then like the very next day I got an email on a coaching program. That's why I was like,
The universe responded. See?
right? I know. It's so crazy. Which is, yeah, you can go in the whole manifesting direction. I won't do that. But yeah, so like the very next day, I'm like, yeah. And so I went through that program and it changed me like a lot because it like the first half of it really made you dig into your own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made it through that one. And then a few months later, the same like mentor program offered like another one to take it even further into more like energy work and healing. And so I took that, and that is where everything really changed after that. I really just spent every day purposefully trying to make sure I'm not in my head, but in my heart space.
Right.
And really just full on searching for that love that I thought somebody had to give me, because we actually already have it. I just didn't know it at the time. And then I just remember, I don't remember the exact day, but just one day, it's almost like I went through just the right place, and I was in this most amazing, beautiful fullness of all love. I have never felt such peace. And like all of the stuff, all the little things that I still had kind of just hanging around, just like it fell away, because none of it matters when you're in that place of compassion and peace and total acceptance of self.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would sit in that like every morning. And that's another thing that when you change, like I was not the morning person. Like people like my family wouldn't even come wake me up. They're like, you wake her up. No, you wake her up. Because I was mean. Like you don't wake her up. Yeah.
Right.
So here's that person now who the sun, like I don't have curtains on my window in my bedroom. And so the sun will wake me up every day. And I remember just laying there. And to me, like the sunlight itself was love. And so I'm just laying there, and it was like 2 months every day. I'd be like, I just want people to know what this is, to know this exists and that they can have it. And it took me like 2 months before one day I just like sat up in bed and was like, oh my gosh, I'm who's supposed to tell people this. I'm supposed to just start talking. Like I'm supposed to, share that this place even exists.
Right. Now, you were already a coach before, or went through your coach's training before you had this revelation?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's interesting. So did you become a coach in pursuit of helping yourself, or did you know that you were going to be doing something with these tools?
I think back in my mind, because I have a big journaler, I started journaling after my dad passed away. Mm-hmm. And our minds are so powerful, and we're so in tune, or like our intuition really is connected to all knowledge and wisdom. And in my journals, it kept talking about a business I would have that would help all of these people. But I just was like, I don't understand what you're saying to me. And it wasn't until that moment that I guess that I accepted, because I think for me, I was always meant to be, because I was always that person everyone came to, even when I was younger. I can remember, in middle school and high school, kids that were going through a rough time. I was just who they were drawn to. Mm-hmm. But I think it wasn't until I went through all of that healing myself that I could accept that I had something to offer. Because before that, that's
powerful. That's a very powerful statement you just made. Yeah.
Right. And because and that's part of also the reason why, I don't want people to live in that place of guilt and unworthiness, because you can't step into your potential and your purpose thinking that you're worthless. So mm-hmm. I think it wasn't until I went through all of that, and through both of those programs, I had to actually work with people that would volunteer basically for me to work with them to get all my hours and stuff in. But right. It really wasn't until that moment. It was like this just aha moment that this is why I'm here. I went through all of that and found this amazing place so that I could guide other people to it. And so it wasn't, because I literally, when I set up and realized that's what I was doing, was also at the same time like a whole program. It was almost like it's just like this upload. I wrote a program called Turn Loving Yourself into a Habit that very day.
Oh, wow.
In a day. It just poured out of me. It was the craziest thing.
That's fabulous. Yeah. Then that means that's the right path. That's what's supposed to happen. Wow. Okay.
Yep. And then that's also when, because I'd been hearing, like in my journaling, I can remember like years ago, I started writing a book. I actually did write a book called Second Chances. But as I'm not writing it, my daughter, who was like only 8 at the time, would walk out. She's like, "Mom, are you writing your book?" And I'm like, "No." So she was like, "Why aren't you writing your book?"
Oh,
Yeah. She's really powerful in some of the words that she says sometimes to me. And so after I wrote that program is when I really dug in and wrote my book, because I wanted people to understand that all of the pain that I went through was for a reason. It's to help other people going through the same type of pain or abuse or trauma, that there's a way out. You don't have to stay there. And even as I wrote that book, going back through some of the memories I had, I found even more clarity, and through, certain points in my life. And I even found a repressed memory I didn't even remember.
oh wow.
So it was when my grandma passed away, and I couldn't figure out why I kept going to that kitchen. Why am I stuck in that kitchen? I couldn't remember leaving. I remember it happening, but how I got out of the kitchen and how everything went after that was like just blank. And so just writing that book opened that back up out of me. And yeah, it's just crazy when I think about it.
Wow. So was you say that the program poured out of you, you started writing the book. So you started a business as being a coach.
Yeah.
What was that like? Tell us about that.
Well, it's kind of funny too. It's just one of those days, in the back of my head, you're thinking, I should do this. Now I have all of this, all this knowledge and all of this wisdom and all of the experience. And basically I proved that it's worked because I did it. I am like proof
Exactly.
that this is possible. I kind of lost my train of thought there, but yeah, I just decided one day, you know what? I just made a Facebook business page and threw it out there. I'm like, whatever will be is going to be. Whatever I'm meant to do, I will do.
So you
just kind of threw it out there.
So you just immediately took action.
Yeah.
I love that.
I did. Yeah. And it's funny because my very first client, as part of my whole healing certification, because we couldn't meet because COVID hit. Yeah. Which bums me out because I was supposed to get to go to the beach. And so they decided to turn it into a virtual thing. And so when I did my talk, someone had heard, it was like recognized the same kind of pain that they had in their past and reached out to me. And so I'm like, yeah, this is what I really kind of solidified. Yes, this is what I meant to do, because I just told my talk. I wasn't even trying to say, hey, come work with me. I was just sharing what I had gone through. And she recognized that I got some work I need to do.
Wow. So your business is, fresh.
Yeah.
You started this. Wow. That's exciting.
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. No, there's no reason to wait. All you budding entrepreneurs out there, there's no reason to wait. Like Laurie, if you can help people, if you have something to say, if you have a skill, if you have a program, there's no reason to wait. Take action. She's living proof that it works and it's totally doable. But I'm sure there's been, even in the few short months since you've started, there's probably been some lessons learned and things you still want to do. Or what has the process been like starting a coaching business?
Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just kind of throw yourself out there. But I think one of the greatest things that I learned about fear is that whenever fear pops up, instead of looking at it like, oh, I can't do this, now I know when it pops up, like, oh, there you are. Now I know I'm on the right track, because otherwise you wouldn't be here.
I'm so glad you said that. That is, most people don't understand that. That means you're on the right track. Yeah, good.
It means there's something amazing once I push through you. And so now I laugh when I come up to a moment where I'm like, oh, then I really know I'm supposed to do this, because it's scaring me a little bit. I'm even get goosebumps thinking about it. Yeah, because those are the moments now I'm like, I know what you're doing. There's something awesome over here. And I'm going to keep pushing through this till I get to the awesome piece. Yeah, that is probably the most out there kind of. Yeah, you just leap and know that you're going to land safely. It might not be where you meant to jump, but it's going to be amazing.
Right. Got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me about your new book.
Yeah, my second chances, how I turned hate into love
Yeah.
and found my purpose. Yeah, it's basically my story and a lot of the stuff that I went through and a lot of the beliefs that I had because of others.
Okay.
And not so much that were mine. It's just that what I was, sometimes it could be just some random stranger could make a comment to you that affects you so much that it's still affecting you today, even though you haven't thought about it in forever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, cause I kind of dig into that a little bit and just how important that sometimes wanting to run from stuff instead of dealing with it is worse in the long run, because then you're just dragging it, for years, where if you would just take a moment and go, why do I think that? Or is that even true? Or am I self-sabotaging myself? Or where did that thought come from? And just really, dig into those instead of allowing your thoughts to rule you. You stop and question the thought. So yeah, pretty much that's what my book is about. I think it was mostly just to be inspiring to others that look at this person that's gone through all of this crap and still came out the other side.
Right. I mean, clearly your experiences along with your training, I mean, it just bolsters that. Clearly looks like your coaching skills are probably finely tuned and very powerful with people, because you've been there, you've done the work, you know how to push through the fear, how to push through the unknown. Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds like you're on the right. You did the right thing by starting the business, and I'm sure your clients and clients in the future will be very, very thankful that you did. Because as I said in your introduction, it says that your goal is to help 1 million people.
Yeah. This is funny because I just had another client, I think it was just today, actually was like, how is it going to work? Because I just started a free women's empowerment group.
Oh, awesome.
And she's like, how does that work? She's like, I said, because I had this realization that money is not it's not meant to be earned. And I know that sounds completely crazy to say, but money is an actual energy. It's a frequency that you step into. And so the whole idea that I have to have a job, I have to have a 9 to 5, or I have to do this or that to earn the money isn't actually true. It is and it isn't. It's how it depends on how you look at it.
Right.
And it's really hard for me to even say that, because I was a person like, oh my gosh, I have to have this job, I have to have this paycheck, and I have to do it, But at the end of the day, it's like when you're in alignment and you're working your purpose, money is just a piece of it. It's like an energy exchange. And I think the best way to look at it is, so you have electricity in your house.
Mm-hmm.
And because I have electricity in my house, I give them money.
Okay.
So it's the same kind of thing. So it's in order to get the energy that I am giving them to get healing, they give me the energy of money. So it's like, It's just an exchange. And so it's like, and I said, I get that it's free, but the thing is, they're going to know someone who's going to know someone who's going to know someone. And somewhere along the line, someone is going to almost like come in alignment with me and go, she has something that I need, that I'm missing, or she's going to guide me through. And so and I even had someone ask me too about, well, how much money do you want to make? And I'm like, it's not about the money to me. It's about actually healing people and giving them that freedom to be their authentic self without all the weight of all the other garbage that we carry around, the guilt and shame. I want that to go away for everybody. And so, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to explain that to other people but I get it, because I've been in that place where I thought I have to have this job. And I took so many jobs that made me so miserable that I literally would cry when my alarm would go off, because I didn't want to go in, but I thought I had to. But that's our life isn't meant to be lived in turmoil.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So, yeah.
My goodness. So, I mean, this is still so new for you, but I'm sure you have big plans. What's coming up in the future for you and your company?
That's another thing. Sometimes I try not to put it in a box, and mostly because I lived my life in a box for so long, trying to hide from myself. I'm just open to the possibilities. I wake up every day excited to see what unfolds. I would love, and I have for years, like, and this is another kind of funny story, but forever ago when I first started journaling, I remember my house had like a tree growing by the foundation. And it was kind of fall. It was about right before winter. So I kind of left it, but it was spring. And so I'm like, I really got to get that out of there. I don't want it to, to ruin my foundation. And the whole time I'm like digging, and I was like, I thought, it was only like really like maybe 2 inches, 3 inches out of the ground. So I'm thinking it's going to be so easy. It really wasn't. It was a lot deeper than I thought. So I'm out there, I have sweat pouring in my eyes, but like my head, I could see myself standing on a stage, explaining to people what I'm doing and how, I know it's so weird. And because I always was doing that in my mind, I always pictured myself telling, this is what happened. And this is all the stuff that I learned from it. And as this was happening, I hear this voice saying, this is what you're going to do. You're going to stand on a stage and you're going to, and I was like, whoa, no. No. No.
It ain't happening. No,
I'm not. But, now I see that in my future is, when COVID kind of finally goes away and people can actually get out there again, I can see myself going places and standing on a stage and helping people really embrace that authenticity and all that love that there is. When that happens, I don't know. But
exactly. But it sounds like that you're open to it and will be ready for it when that does happen.
Yeah. And I think my education will help because I'm so, people are like, how do you do that? Well, I have had to step in front of kids for over a decade, Right. You just get used to it. Like, this is how I am. You have your good days, your bad days, and you just learn it. Kids are so honest. They ain't going to let you get away with nothing. You made a mistake up there. What did you do? What is that? That's not right.
That's true. And in front of kids, you can talk in front of anybody.
Yeah. And that's why I've gotten really good about coming up with really quick answers or really good comebacks or, you get used to just standing there in front of people. Because then not only that, but you have people walking in and out of your room all the time. I actually worked for a while in a facility, but kids were actually locked in. And so they had staff with them. So I wasn't just talking in front of the kids. I was talking in front of the staff that were with the kids. And that's constantly in and out of my room. And so, yeah, it takes a lot to faze me anymore.
Sounds like it.
Like, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, Laurie, share with the listeners how they can get a hold of you and reach you and find your book and learn more about you.
I think the fastest way to find the way to everything is my website, which is soullovelegacy.com. Everything's there. It's got my book up on there. I've even made a couple like cups and stuff just with some sayings that I kind of stuck, made a little design and stuck on something.
Well, that's cool.
That up there. Yeah, my course is up there. I actually just put a free training up on there, and I'm about to add another one because I'm offering it as part of a free gift as a sponsor to a summit that's going to happen. I think next week, something like that. So everything gets thrown up there.
Well, that's exciting. Okay. And the website again say it again.
It's Soul Love Legacy.
Soul Love Legacy. Wonderful. Well, if you happen to be in your car or someplace you can't write that down, don't worry. This stuff will be in the show notes. And in social media posts. So you will be able to find it very, very easily. So I want to say, Laurie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story with us. I'm sure it was inspirational and very relational to me. And I'm sure will inspire others and hopefully show them that if they're struggling with something now, it doesn't have to be so for very much longer. And they should reach out to you for help in that department. So again, thank you for your vulnerability and your honesty and transparency and sharing yourself today. And everybody reach out and find Laurie. And thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on the P.I.N.K Lifestyle Show. Make sure to visit my website, KarenKBannister.com, where you can subscribe on multiple platforms and YouTube so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, I'd appreciate a review and a rating from you, or simply share it with a friend. Also on my website, submit your email to receive my weekly newsletter and monthly e-magazine, purchase my books, enroll in a course, or learn about my VIP private coaching.